Hey there, everyone. Welcome to One for the Road, where we navigate sobriety, recovery, and life in general. Tune in as we share our experience and opinions while answering any questions you may have.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa. It's my co-host, Judy. How's it going?
Good. It's going good. How's it going?
Good. All right. So actually tonight we got a late night episode tonight.
Woo, get ready. Hold on to your britches.
So tonight I want to talk about people, places, and things in recovery.
People, places, and things. Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Well, not new people, places, and things. Old people, places, and things. Yeah, all of my friends, except for two, were drinkers and druggers. I had to not hang around with those people. I tried it, tried breakfast, tried lunch, whatever. Somebody showed up with Coke and drunk. They showed up. We didn't even get to the breakfast or lunch portion. So yeah, for my sobriety, right? I can't hang around with people. It's not that I'm so easily influenced, though I was, but it always seemed like a good idea. And places, while I hung around in old man taverns, I have no business there. Unless, it's like, what did they say? Hang out at a barber shop long enough, you'll get a haircut. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So I have no business there, and the things, well, I don't really know what things are. What are things, Marissa?
Girl, I don't know. I was just thinking that earlier. I was like, what are the things?
What are the things?
Like, but what are the things, right? Like, you got your people. Well, and before we get to that, let me ask you a question. Like, you talk about friends, right? These are people we have the option to be around, but what about your family members? Like, what was your experience like with your family members? Because my family is, they're fine, right? I don't have any raging alcoholics. They're not big partiers. Actually, I used to think my parents were lame as fuck because they didn't like go out every weekend and get drunk and stuff like that. Like the neighbor girls' parents did. And so like for me, like the people, family, right? Like going back to family, my family was solid to be around. They didn't, for the first couple months after rehab, like they didn't even have alcohol in the house. So that was nice. But I know that some people's experiences, they come from a long line of drinkers. And I think I'm safe to say that that's kind of your experience. Like you have that family dynamic where, it's a Christmas party and we're all drinking. That's like a thing. So what does that look like when you're trying to change people, places, and things in recovery, and they're your family, right? Because they're family.
Sure. I'm going to make a broad statement here. I don't think that my family was unique. You're absolutely correct. We talked about it, right? Like, our Christmas Eve party looked like one trip to the grocery store and 3 trips to the liquor store, and it's not that they were raging alcoholics, right? Again, with that stigma of, a guy with the bottle and the bag underneath the bridge, they just partied and that was a good time. What it looked like for me was I was not sober then. A lot of the quote unquote ringleaders had already passed away due to illness, not alcoholism, thankfully, and so in essence, I still, though, I have a sister and, and booze is a big part of those family functions as well. And I made plans. When it came to holidays, especially, right? Thanksgiving, Easter, Easter were mimosas and Thanksgiving was, wine, whatever. It was just always a thing. And I made a plan, like what time is dinner, and if dinner was at 1, I would show up at quarter
after
to
you
1.
got sober.
Yeah. After I got sober.
Yeah.
If it was at 1, I would show up at quarter to 1, and then I would always have my own car so I could leave whenever I wanted. And then I would always set a limit and, a time limit, we would eat and then, help with the dishes. I also made myself busy, right? I helped. Right.
Find a chore, find a job,
chore, be a servant,
play with the kids, do the dishes.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, and then I leave. And then I leave. You know, and those first couple years that was hard. It wasn't hard to be
Mhm.
around, you know. Um I didn't walk in and be like, I'm an alcoholic, right? I'm a drug addict. Let's not do this thing, right? Everybody knew it wasn't something we talked about. My sister will still insist that I'm not okay, you know. But you know, for me, that's what it looked like, right? So the people, I had to deal with them and deal with the drinking, but I had a plan. I went into something with the plan and I stuck to the plan. I also had a pocket full of phone numbers. And so if in the middle of that time that I had to be there, I would step out to have a cigarette or do whatever and make some phone calls and put my head on straight. Because it's really easy for me to forget when I'm having a good time, right? When I'm just enjoying the people, why wouldn't a drink make it better? Right.
Oh
And
yeah.
it
Yeah.
didn't, right? I mean, experience had taught me that it wasn't. And so in order to stay that, that's how I, you know, because I did have to deal with family for sure. And I know there's people out there that would party and drink with their family. I don't know how, you know, I can't imagine, right? Like I can't imagine, but those are the things I did. I made the plan, I brought the phone numbers, I brought my own car, and I stuck to the plan. That was it. And I was accountable, right? Like I had people who were waiting for me to leave at 3 o'clock, call me when you leave, you know? So I was accountable to somebody because left to my own devices, you know, if nobody knows
Right.
I'm leaving at 3 and nobody cares, you know, what about you? What do your people look like? Your things?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, towards the end of my drinking, like I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't
Mm,
I isolated, so it was just me again in that childhood bedroom by myself. So I didn't really when I got sober. Here's the thing for me, recovery has been a lot of just doing the opposite of what I used to do. So if
bingo.
I sat in my room and used to drink, then in sobriety, recovery, I have gotten my ass out of the bedroom and I have gone and, made friends and found people to hang out with. My first year of recovery, the only friends I had was my sister and my brother-in-law. If your DNA matched mine, that you were my friend. That was it. I'm because I didn't know anybody. I didn't, and and the couple of friends that I did have, like the couple of friends I did have, if they were big drinkers, I just didn't even go there. Right.
Right.
Because I always want to be a part of.
Mm,
And that's hard for me, but um, I was given the same suggestions too, like have a plan. Have a plan. And not even if your family is like big drinkers, but if your families are big triggers,
period. Right.
which mine are, God love them, the most wonderful people in the world, right? Like have had my back through some stuff, but family's usually triggers for people, and those are usually the times when I like want to drink. And I have some people in my family that, although supportive, have no problem reminding me of exactly who I've been and what I've done, which is, it's cool, right? It's fine. I can take it today. No big deal. But if people are triggers, and I think that's the importance of like getting to know yourself and knowing when like, oh yeah, like you irritate me. And when I'm irritated, I want to drink. So like those are the people that I also, it's not just about, oh, who drinks or who does drugs.
Mm,
Sometimes it's just, do you rub me the wrong way? Like,
yeah.
because if you do, that will lead me to a drink, right? Like all that anger, that frustration, the irritation, that's the stuff that like made me want to drink because I just don't like those feelings and I just want to relax and whatever. Um, and so like I have to be careful with that stuff, and like I said, I as far as family went, um super supportive people in my life. um they're the only people that were there at the end, and that that's something to be said right there, right? They were the only people there at the end who really saw it for what it was. So for a long time, they they kept the little drinking under wraps, and then it got to a point where, I'm the one with the problem, not you guys. I'm the one with the problem. And I've got these things in play, right? I also have the list of phone numbers. My sister is one of my best friends. So she knew, right? Like she'd see my skin crawl for whatever reason. And, and that was important too, like finding sober buddies to take with you in situations that you need to be
Yeah.
in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as far as the people go, like if you're someone who's a hardcore drinker, and I had some friends that were hardcore drinkers and they really supported what I was doing, but they didn't get it. They
Right.
didn't get it. They thought I was just taking a long break. And I had one girlfriend in specific who asked me, like, so not even for my wedding, like, or like when I get engaged or whatever. And I'm like, oh God, I wish, but your one wedding will turn into the demise of the next 5 years of my life. If I pick
Right.
up for one night, like I'm not going home tonight, or home is the only place I'm going for the next 6 months. Like that's it. So I really had to like find people who got it, like,
Right.
which is why I ended up being friends with a lot of alcoholics because they just got it.
Well, because
They
we
just
get it,
get it.
right? I think, yeah, you were talking about like the couple friends that you had at the end. And that, for me, all of my people did what I did. And I wasn't an isolator. I was out there. I was running those streets and sitting in those bars and doing that stuff. And I don't even know, really, sometimes I look back and I laugh. How are you even alive? Whatever.
Right.
But I mean,
think we all have that. How did I get home from the bar?
but I was out in public doing some stuff. Thank God internet wasn't a thing. Thank God, but I think about those people today sometimes, like that's the thing. I knew if I wanted something different, I had to do something different. I wasn't going to get a result sitting on that bar stool or doing lines off the back of a bathroom toilet, right? Like I knew that. So in order to do something different, but still, after being here for a minute and being sober and doing this thing, I think about those people. And, you talked about the fear of missing out. I know what they're doing, right? I know nothing changed, right? However, I feel like I miss out sometimes, because I really is for as much as the alcohol and the drugs played a part, it wasn't the sole part of those friendships either. I had people that were supportive of that. I mentioned breakfasts and I mentioned lunch. The people that made those plans with me were saying, we don't have to go do this thing, right? We had one person who showed up and didn't respect that kind of thing for me. And so I had to cut everybody out. If that was going to be a trigger, right? I wasn't willing to risk it. I wasn't willing. So I had to choose myself over them. And that was really what it came down to, because there was still the love there for those people. I still have it.
Well, and that's the hard part, right? Like
choosing myself. That
right,
was the hard part.
Like, yeah, and saying like for right now, this is what this needs to be. And I know from my own experience, right? Like best girlfriend since kindergarten, she drinks, and whether she's an alcoholic or not, I don't know. But it was only for a couple of years that I really had to like keep my distance. I'm happy to report that she had a surprise party for her, for her fiance. And I did get to go to the bar and stop by and had a kitty cocktail and
right.
hung out for 20 minutes. And and the people who get it, the people who support you understand why you're only staying for 20 minutes in a bar, right?
Sure.
Like they get those things, and it's not a forever situation. It's just until, at least it was for me, right? It was just until I had a good enough foundation and I understood myself well enough to know, yes, I can go there, but how long can I stay? And do I recognize when it's time to go? Because if I have a purpose of being somewhere, right, celebrating a birthday, I can go anywhere where there's alcohol and it's not a problem.
Right.
It's so long as my motive is to show face, right? Because I'm being supportive and it's not all about me all the time.
Right. And I get that. And I agree, right? Like I can do the family parties, with the triggers or with the drinking, and I can do those things. I don't know. I think it's maybe just hard to articulate what it looked like with these friends. These friends had to go out of my life, right? when I got sober the first time, which was over 5 years ago. I don't have 5 years of sobriety today. I'm knocking on 4, but because what happened is that I thought I could do that thing. I thought I could just be there for a reason,
Right.
and I have to be honest, at some point it wasn't even alcohol was the procuring cause. I was motivated by Coke, and so what that looked like is that I would get that feeling, in my, like, I would be
Sure.
going to a breakfast or going to a lunch, and I would be thinking the whole time that obsessive, those people had to be gone for me to get sober.
Right.
There's no going back. I know that there's some temporary people out there who could probably come back. I have 2 friends, one from 6th grade, she's been my best friend, and she does drink, and she used to party, but she stopped. Right. Now if she has one drink, she's like, woo. And I'm like, bitch, what? Like,
You just
what?
got started.
Yeah. What? One, that still boggles my mind, but I can be with those people. This is the person that will make me grape slushies. You know what I mean? To feel a
Right.
part of,
Sure.
those are those supportive people.
What about like places, right? Other than the obvious, like going to a bar, like what were were there any other places for you that felt like triggering, that you felt like you couldn't go? You felt like,
No, like I said, a lot of my drinking career, I, again, not an isolator. I really went to the tavern or to my friends' homes. And, after we started at a bar, we always wound up at somebody's house, because you have the drugs and you have that stuff, you know what I mean? So for me, it was really, there was nowhere else I couldn't find myself going except for those places, and it did. I got to that point, right? Like you said, I've been to birthday parties at bars. I don't stay. I'm not one that's going to put quarters in the pool table and in the dart machine and hang out and pretend that it's all good. For me, a little bit like rock shows, concerts, those things were tricky for a little bit. But
yeah,
then I realized I am there for a reason, right? I'm there for the music. I'm there for the band. Those are the things, right? I'm with the band. So what about you and places? Well, I mean, we know about your bedroom, but where else
Right.
couldn't you go?
the bedroom.
Where could
You know what? Here's the thing. I struggled in the beginning being anywhere where there was alcohol. And I'm talking even your old pancake house, like, which I didn't know that they served alcohol at the local pancake house.
I did. I knew.
There was, oh yeah, see, again, isolator. And I did, we didn't go anywhere. We didn't go out to eat anywhere where there was any sort of alcohol for like the first year of my sobriety. You know what I mean? Like for the first year in, like getting sober and in recovery and everything. Like I just, I was so terrified. I was so terrified to go anywhere. And the thought of, well, what if there's actually alcohol in the drink that they serve me?
Mhm.
Like to the point where, again, only friends in early recovery, brother and sister-in-law, I would like, I'd get like Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper, and my brother-in-law would like be taste testing it first because I would have so much anxiety. And I remember the first time I went out, I'm from the Chicagoland area. We went out to Chicago, and I was walking through Wrigleyville. And I don't know if anybody notices. I never noticed, but Wrigleyville just smells like straight up alcohol. Okay.
Listen, it's an old man bar the next
Right.
morning when you open up the door.
Oh, stale beer.
Sure,
Yeah,
right.
for sure. And so, I just had to be conscious of like all those places, like baseball game, like because we did things right. Like I got out finally. That was the part of my recovery, was like get out of the room. But airports, like everything was a trigger. I went to go pick up my grandma from Oregon, and I remember when I used to travel for work, and it's a lawless land, the airport. You know what I mean? It's 4:00 in the morning and it's time for a drink.
Sure.
And so I was conscious about just like every place, because there was not anywhere that I went that I didn't drink. I didn't. And, I still struggle with hotel rooms because I did used to travel for work. And that's where I could do my best drinking because I was by myself, no one to bother me. Like, and I loved it. There was no judgment, like anything. And I still struggle with hotel rooms. And that's 6 years later,
Right.
And so I think anything can be, and everybody's got a different story, but yeah, the pancake house, the hotels, the airport, the friend's house, like there's
Yeah.
a couple friends' houses that, that I just can't go to because I remember, getting drunk in their hot tub.
Right. Well, and I get it. I guess that maybe I didn't give it much thought, but you mentioned Wrigleyville, and I think back to Cubs games. I went to two sober. One, I was pissed and bored. I found it bored. Like I think for me, right, looking back, the mindset wasn't there. I was looking at all the things I couldn't do versus all the things that I already had. You know what I mean? Like sobriety, like my life put back together, like relationships repaired, right? All of that stuff that goes along with it. But what I was looking at is all these assholes are going to be fucking loaded. And I somehow became like the designated driver for every fucking affair that we ever went to, And so, and that was cool though, right? The second one, totally different get down, right? I mean, completely different, but that was me later in sobriety. That was me,
right?
Because all of these new things, right? Because and when I say we really only went to the bar, I mean, we would literally get on motorcycles and drive so fucked up from bar to bar.
Sure.
For a while.
Motorcycles trigger you now?
Well, no, I was gonna say for about a minute they did, sure. When I got sober, I was like,
the thing. That's
where are we going?
The motorcycle, right? Like those are the things.
Where, right?
Right. Like if you drink on the boats, those are your things.
Yeah. Gambling for the first time, for sure. That was the thing, like how are you not coked up holding a drink and playing the slots, I mean, so those were the places, I guess, but those weren't things that we did often. I mean, I will tell you, out of 12 months, 365 days, maybe 10 of those 365 were out of a bar, right? So, I mean, when I look back, I think that was the other thing. I didn't know that it was going to be an issue for a lot of things until I got there,
Sure.
And now I'm maneuvering this thing going, oh, I remember. So yeah, I wasn't probably as diligent, and I also have a huge ego and I'm cocky, you had a healthy amount of fear for your sobriety, sure. Hence my going and having a relapse, right? I was like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
I can do some shit now, and be sober, it was a joke, because I was in my way. So, but you're right. That's a thing, right? A motorcycle's a thing, a slot machine's a thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but for me, right. So our stories are kind of different. You didn't have people to necessarily have to cut out. And I had to cut out everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's sort of what it is, like I said, the ringleaders for my family and the drinking extravaganzas that they were gone. So that whole dynamic changed for holidays, I became the house and I became the person. And so then I was able to control what went on during the party, right? Like I didn't go out and get 10 cases of beer. You want something to drink, you bring it. And then when you leave, you take it with you. Right. Thanks for stopping by. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that's just the thing. I think, it is important, right? Like I'll wrap it up and I'll, seal the deal and say like, it is important to be aware of where you're going, and you said it before, right? You don't go into a barbershop, don't hang out at the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. That's for sure, right? Meaning that if I'm hanging out at the bar, there's a good chance that I'm going to drink, even if I think I'm just there to get food, especially just in early recovery. And I can't express that enough that like things do change, right? Sure. Like I can go to the pancake house today. I can go to Wrigleyville today.
And nobody's testing your drink.
I'm not even a Cubs fan and I'll go to Wrigleyville. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, we're going to have this conversation.
We'll have this conversation all day long. It's totally fine. Not even really a baseball fan, just love to fuck with Cubs fans. And the reality is today is that like, I can go anywhere in the world where there is alcohol
For sure.
because I've done the inside work. But I couldn't do that in the beginning of this journey. That was not something I could do. I had to remove the things that really triggered me and really made me want to drink, be it friends, be it family, be at the bar, whatever, right?
Forever.
Like I had to live a life differently than what I was living in active alcoholism, addiction, and that's what really saved me. And it was just for a little bit. There are some places that I still won't go. You know what I mean? I will not go just hang out at a bar. Not as of right this moment, but I don't know that I don't want to go see an 80s cover band there and be there
Right.
for 4 hours. I know people that do that with a lot of sobriety, and they can do that today because it's not about the drink, right? It's not about the drink. It's not about the people. It's not about the places, and it's not about the things. It's about me and what I got going on within me. And do I want to give up what I've got today? I'm happy to report I don't sit in a room by myself anymore. I have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of hobbies, and I have a lot of wonderful things going on in my life today that, I wouldn't trade for anything, and that's for me what happens. If I pick up the drink, I trade everything else I have, because that's how it works for me. I lose everything and I become isolated in that bedroom.
Yeah. I heard something, right? I heard something, and it said, everything I own today fits in a shot glass.
And isn't that the truth?
And is the truth, right? And I think, like you said, to sum it up for me, it was a matter of choosing me, right?
Yeah.
Choosing myself, and, that fear of missing out. What am I missing? And, the people with hurt feelings, listen, if I'm going to die, nobody's jumping in front of me if somebody's pointing a gun, right? Like, that's how I had to look at that shit. And that's what I was looking at. I was looking at dying. So I had to pick myself, and, and like I said, miss the people for sure. But you know what? I got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm in a place where I can do it today. So I had to choose myself. And I think that you're right. Things, it evolves, right? In early recovery, I did those things that I like. First, I didn't do those things, and then I went back out. And then when I came back, they told me what to do, and I didn't,
Right.
And who am I to question? They've got 40 years sober. So, if I want what you have, then I should probably be doing what you're doing.
Sure.
And so, yeah, when you tell me get rid of people, places, and things, well, motherfucker, I'm getting rid of people, places, and things.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing me.
Yeah. I love it. So if anybody has any other questions or, any more concerns about people, places, things, feel free to comment and, let us know, and we'll elaborate a little bit more. I feel like this is a loaded topic, right? There's a lot of things that we could, because a lot of people could just get into it, right? Like, there's so many things. I think everybody's life is so unique that trigger them. Sure, there's your general, problems and bars, whatever, your general things. But, if
you had a really good
you'd
point.
like us to elaborate on, let us know.
For sure.
We would love to just, tell people how to live their life.
Well, sure. Our opinion is something, but, but that's the thing, right? Here it is, yours was getting out of a room, and mine was getting out of bars. My family drank, yours did not, so I can't imagine the multitudes of stories out there, and the how-tos and the what's up,
Yeah.
And not to say that we are sitting here as, some sort of sober aficionados. Fuck, hang around. You'll see some crazy slip out. You'll see some crazy slip out. But, the truth is that it was just getting out of my way. But I think that, if by all means, let's open it up, because this only touched on two people's perspective of what it looks like in people, places, and things. This conversation can go on, and, and hopefully, if one hand reaches out, we can reach back, or somebody else might have something to say.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Judy. Thanks for
You're
another
welcome,
great
Marissa.
Conversation, our late night conversation tonight.
All right. I have to go to my
All right.
room. I'm tired.
All right. Keep coming back.
Keep coming back, guys.